Hello, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time to work on developing your English skills and personal growth. Many people think they learn English slowly because they are not smart enough or they don't have talent for languages. I used to think that too, but after some time watching how I study and how my brain reacts, I realized the problem was never my memory. It was the way I took in information. The brain does not work like a hard drive that stores separate data. It only keeps things that have connections, context, and a reason to exist. When you try to force single words into your head, your brain treats them like meaningless information and removes them. So forgetting quickly is not failure, it is just a natural reaction of the system. Many times I memorized a lot of new words, but when I needed to speak, I could not form a sentence. I thought I was bad, but actually I was just collecting pieces with no shape. A word alone is like a tool that you don't know how to use. Only when it is inside a sentence, a situation, and a clear context does the brain understand what it is for and start to keep it. Fluent speakers do not always know more words than others. They are just more familiar with common sentence patterns. When I changed from learning meanings to learning how to use words, the feeling of memorizing disappeared and was replaced by a feeling of getting used to them. That was when I understood that language does not start with vocabulary, it starts with context. One interesting thing is that real progress happens in the part you cannot see. Before you can speak, you need to listen enough. Before you can write, you need to read enough. If your ears are not used to the sounds and your eyes are not used to the structure, your mouth will only say separate words. But when you are exposed long enough, your brain records the rhythm of sentences without you noticing. Some people speak very naturally even if they have not studied grammar deeply, simply because they have listened enough to build reflexes. Language always grows quietly first and shows later. When you understand this, you will stop rushing for results. The key point is not how many times you repeat something, but how you make it alive. A meaningless word disappears quickly, but if you connect it with an image or emotion, it stays much longer. The brain prefers memories that have stories because stories create clear marks. When you learn with associations, you don't need to hold the word in your head. The image holds it for you. And when you need it, what appears in your mind is not the translation, but the scene that brings the word with it. How long you remember also depends on when you meet the information again. If a word appears once and disappears, your brain thinks it is not important. But if it comes back right when you were about to forget it, your brain understands that it should store it longer. That is why some people learn a lot in one day, but forget everything a few days later. It is not because they are bad, it is because the memory was not strengthened. Reviewing in cycles is like telling your brain that this information is still useful. Each time you see it again, the memory mark becomes deeper. What keeps you learning the longest is not forcing discipline, but making yourself enjoy contact with the language. When the content you listen to or read is interesting to you, your brain accepts it as entertainment instead of a task. Positive feelings reduce resistance and improve memory. You may forget a vocabulary list, but remember a whole movie line just because you liked that scene. When learning becomes something you want to do, progress happens without you noticing. The brain also needs proof that your effort is working. If you study without clear measures, progress feels unclear and it is easy to quit. But when you set a specific goal and complete small steps, you can clearly feel that you are moving forward. The brain likes signs of progress because they feel like rewards. When the reward is clear, motivation appears naturally instead of being forced. A word truly becomes yours only when you use it. Seeing it is not enough. Reading it is not enough. Only when you write or say it does your brain mark it as something to keep. At first, it may feel awkward, but that awkwardness is actually the signal that activates long-term memory. Words you have used are usually very hard to forget because the brain remembers actions, not only images. When you look at everything together, you will see that learning vocabulary fast does not depend on any magic trick. It depends on three things working together: the right method, consistency, and a daily environment with the language. If one is missing, progress slows or stops. With strategy but no consistency, knowledge cannot take root. With discipline but no environment, language has nowhere to live. But when all three appear together, learning becomes natural, like a plant that has enough soil, water, and light. And then you realize that speed of learning is not decided by memory, it is decided by the system you put yourself in. If you find this video interesting and helpful, please give me a like and subscribe.